Hey everybody, Sive here with ForexPeaceArmy.com. So finally, let's take a look at the Bitcoin market. Not a lot of changes we have here. So we have joked on our Telegram that volatility on the Bitcoin start dropping just because everybody forgot about it. So and it's partially true, just so the actually big players are so busy with other stuff, crude oil, stocks, and other, so that they have no actually real time for cryptocurrencies. The one thing that is probably fear for cryptocurrencies is that as longer conflict will last, as worse situation will be for cryptocurrencies. Just because investors will have to plug the holes in other positions that they may be taking on the crude oil market, on the stock market, as the high prices of the crude oil will definitely make impact on United States economy and including the stock market, and that potentially the risk factor for the Bitcoin market. So from that standpoint of view, I wouldn't say that on the Bitcoin we have some really superb setups right now for trading. But let's go on step by step. First, starting on the weekly chart. On the weekly, we still think that downside action might be not is over yet, so we suggest that it might be not like down here, just because we have the target around 52. And market now is coming to the moment where it starts flirting with the May City predictor line. And in the perspective on 1-2 probably weeks, we could get the potential bearish pattern here in the same manner as we've got in this point. That is the thing that we need to control. So on a lower time frames, on a daily, I do not see really big changes from our previous picture. So you can see what's actually is happening. Market stands this week mostly flat without any significant performance. But in general, if you take a look at a bit longer perspective, you can see that starting from the February, it was the sideways action, while the trend remains bullish. So that can't be called as a really positive sign for the Bitcoin. It more looks bearish is because market shows inability to start any meaningful upward performance. Whatever is going on currently in the world, with any news, it mostly stands flat. And in fact, you can see that almost whole price action stands in the range of this candle. So it mostly stands inside of it. So from that standpoint, you guys still keep chances on the possible breakout as a major OP of this ABCD pattern. So I already showed you previously this big ABCD major pattern has not been completed, and you can see that's why I'm posting this smile. So actually you could see that this very similar performance to what we have right now. Some completion of the choppy ABCD, which is currently is also might happen or might not. We'll discuss it a bit later. But overall shapes are quite similar. That makes me think that the bearish context, bearish scenario with the drop down forming here is possibly on downside butterfly with the touching this target is still on the table. Now what we're gonna do, and in general what we could do in the current circumstances on the lower time frames, what particular trades is possible to take. If you take a look at the lower time frame on the 4 time frame chart, what we have, minor triangle is forming. OP target has not been reached. So theoretically, touching of the 74 area and completion of the OP target of this really big and choppy ABCD pattern, it doesn't break the idea of the bearish scenario because it's already happened the same right here before the collapse started. So here's also market could move slightly higher, touch the 74, and then start downward action. It's no problem. But the problem with the positioning on this possible trade is just because overall environment stands not quite positive for the Bitcoin, right? Yes, here we have the triangle, which might be the continuation pattern, but here's it's also not enough for position taking. The one thing that we could say definitely here is probably about these lows. So until market stands above these 65, 66 lows, it keeps chances on the possible upward continuation. Maybe here we could get the butterfly that will complete the OP, something like this. That's why in the current environment, what I would suggest, so if I would consider taking the long position, I'm trying to get at least some pattern on my back to justify the potential entry. And for instance, I would watch for something like this. So maybe we will get something like gutless triple to buy, which makes me take position as close to the validation point as possible to minimize the potential risk. Since the overall background is not superb, we do not have good patterns on our back, and the chances on success are not really high. That's why the only way how we could actually resolve this problem is find the point where risk will be minimal, to not risk too much in the current circumstances if we consider taking a long position. So, and from that standpoint, I would consider something like this. So at least to get something, some pattern that could justify the entry, could provide at least some theoretical protection to my position, promising some minimum the pullback that could well, let me to move stops to the break even. On the hourly chart, I also see nothing really interesting. Market has reached the 618 resistance. Our hand shoulders as a starting point with this bounce has worked nice, but inside of this range, I also do not see something really valuable. So that's actually the real background on the Bitcoin. So as a bottom line, what we could say, if you like to take the short position, it's better to wait for performance on the daily chart when the market will reach the maybe complete the predefined level 74, and then consider taking the short position if market will complete this ABCD pattern. We will get butterfly, we will get gutless triple to sell pattern here around 74-75 area. That's for the bears, or at least we'll get the clear signs of the collapse. The market start dropping. It will be much better if we will also this point will coincide with the weekly grabber. It's around 74-75 area. So for instance, market will make this spike, completes 74 target, and simultaneously forms the bearish grabber. That will be perfect combination for a short entry. For the long entry, as I said, that's something that we could consider, but once again, in current environment, any idea of taking a long position here will be, well, a bit tricky. Just taking into consideration the overall background where market now stands.